Good morning, NBC. This is Pastor Charlie coming to you with the Word of God today for Sunday, November 15th. I'm reading from the ESV, from the book of Daniel, chapter 1, verses 10 through 21. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who assigned your food and your drink. For why should he see you were in worse condition than the youths who are of your own age? So you would endanger my head with the king. Then Daniel said to the steward from the chief of the eunuchs, had assigned over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's food be observed by you. And deal with your servants according to what you see. So he listened to them in this matter and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, it was seen that they were better in appearance and fatter in flesh than all the youths who ate the king's food. So the steward took away their food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables. As for these 4 youths, God gave them learning and skill in all literature and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. At the end of the time, when the king had commanded that they should be brought in, the chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king spoke with them, and among all of them none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore they stood before the king, and in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters that were in all his kingdom. And Daniel was there until the first year of King Cyrus. So what's going on is that Israel is in this period in her history where they're captured by Babylon, and a lot of the young people that are adept, skilled, sharp young people were taken to the royal courts because they were going to be the influencers. And so the Babylonians took them in to teach them of the ways of the Chaldeans and their literature and whatnot. So while they're living out in the royal courts of the Babylonians, Daniel, it says in verse 8, but Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. Therefore he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself, and God gave Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief of the eunuchs. So because of his allegiance to God, he declined the royal food, which is probably very rich, maybe even heavy foods, along with the wine of the royal courts. And they have this contest because the eunuchs that served the royal courts, they were like, well, I mean, after time passes and you look gaunt and emaciated, we're going to get in trouble, basically, is what they're saying. And then Daniel says, look, after 10 days of us eating the foods of vegetables and water only, you be the judge to see who is better fit. And so that's what's going on. At the end of the day, God gives the 4 people that are in Babylon, Daniel and his buddy Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, better complexion, better build and physique. So they end up changing the entire diet regimen for the people that are in the royal courts. So this is actually something that we apply quite directly and literally to the lives of many Christians today. There's a thing called the Daniel fast. Some people do it for 14 days. We see that it was for 10 days here. But to strictly limit your food intake to vegetables. Not too long ago, I remember watching a pretty interesting documentary about top-tiered athletes, who are competing at the international level. their performance plateaus at a certain point, but they start eating superfoods like beets, and they cut out like even chicken and beef, all kinds of animal fat out of their diet, and they're like especially compelling case of this one woman cyclist who had been plateauing for many years had soared into another level of performance. So maybe there's something there, because before the fall, when God had created Adam and Eve, and they were to enjoy everything, every seed bearing, fruit bearing fruit in the garden, and to eat them as meat. It's supposed to, I think, mean that we were supposed to be satisfied and contented in the lush vegetables and fruits that God had made. So anyway, something to think about. The main point is Daniel's allegiance. What sways, what has him hold his ground, even though he is being indoctrinated with the ways of the Babylonians? Why does he not give in, even though it could have been quite comfortable to savor these delectable dishes that the royal courts were handing out? What was it in Daniel and his buddies? What it was in their hearts that gave them the impetus to decline and to hold fast to their ways? I pray that each and every one of us will have that something, that we'll have some non-negotiables in our hearts, so that in the tough days that may be arriving before us, that we would not sway, that we would prevail because of the special favor that God would grant to those who would not give in. So when it is a battle, folks, for faith. Stand your ground. I hope that you have a really blessed Sunday for all of you.